So,
Do it
ready?
countdown.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, take.
Hello and welcome to this fresh episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here to discuss an elephant in the room, which is eating into our very vials. And if you've been noticing in the last 2022, when to that infamous incident of 2008 when British teenager Scarlett Keeling was killed. And in 2022, it almost seems as if time has stood still, in the sense that the narrative is the same, the series of circumstances is the same, some of the characters seem to be same, the cast is same, and this whole cocktail of an easy supply of drugs, relationship between the system and the drug peddlers, a very strange interplay of forensics being dictated by politics, and of course the role of the media. Everything is important, but the irony again, as I would repeat, that in these 14 odd years nothing seems to have changed, and we are again at the crossroads to analyze what ails Goa. And I think in this discussion, I think the menace of drugs and how it is perpetrated into our system, how it's dictating our economy, affecting our tourism and destroying lives should be the focus. Because in this entire hodgepodge of issues that come up, we always feel that the most menacing of them, drugs, is somehow buried under the carpet, and yet it crops up again and again. And before I introduce my panelists, I will draw your attention to one more important fact. 2 weeks ago, on the 16th of August actually, the Hyderabad police arrested one drug dealer called Pritesh Borkar. After his arrest, the Hyderabad police, actually it is a Hyderabad narcotics wing called H New. That the Telangana police is narcotics wing. In their quick investigations, realized that this Pritesh Borkar was an interstate drug peddler based out of Goa. He was transporting drugs in bulk from Goa to Telangana and distributing it amongst the student community in Hyderabad. The narcotics wing there soon found out who his main suppliers were, named the main suppliers. Some of them are very interesting names that came up, and Herald was the only paper to report it. They spoke about the drug chain, the drug supply, and so on and so forth. The shocking part is that the Goa police, when we asked them about the same internal report of the Hyderabad police, which ultimately turned into a press note and became public, the Goa police either did not have a clue or pretended they did not have a clue of the names that were there in the report and why they did not do anything for 10 years. This morning, we realized that the lot of papers in Telugu, they took the Herald report and also mentioned it and used that Herald report in court to pursue the same case of Pritesh Borkar. The point here is that the system, either deliberately or otherwise, chooses to ignore issues of drugs and drug peddlers. Anyway, I've spoken enough. I'd like to introduce a very eminent panel, the best we could have had, and people who are well versed in what's been going on. One is Advocate Vikram Verma, very senior lawyer, who's incidentally best known as the lawyer who fought the Scarlett Keeling case and was advocate for Scarlett Keeling's mother, and due to his tireless efforts and prayers of many, finally managed to get the conviction that he wanted. Next to him, another star player in that whole cast, Dr. Silvano Sopeco, needs no introduction. One of Goa's proudest professionals, and somebody who has headed the forensics department of the GMC with a lot of professionalism and courage. I use the word courage deliberately. Last, again, but not the least, Trajan Nimello, also somebody who happens to be a politician, but has worked on this issue of drugs more as an activist than a politician, and has taken up many issues, fought many cases. And Trajan Babu, you are very welcome. Vikram, I'll not ask you any further question. I just request you to quickly respond to what I've said with your own opening remarks.
Supplied from Goa to Telangana or to the tourists in Goa, the quantum of the organization of the drugs and the organization is quite large. The fact that it has been suppressed means that it has existed with the support of a few bad apples in the Goa police and those in power. This particular aspect of narcotics is perhaps one of the most dangerous aspects to a healthy society. And one has to collectively work against it, without any doubt. And unfortunately, it is being somehow sidelined, as you have rightly said, that instead of focusing on the narcotics being provided to a person who's come from outside and then that resulting in the rape and murder, the focus leaves out the narcotics angle, which is the foundation for weakening a person, and it is continuing time after time, case after case.
Right. Dr. Sapeko, in the first round, we just asked for initial responses to what I've said. We'll get into the proper questionings later.
Indeed true, sir. I fully concur with what you have said. And we are observing it, that in the whole rigmarole of this issue, the doctors in the Department of Forensic Medicine are made the sacrificial lambs. To be done within a period of 2 weeks' time. The report must be with the investigating agency and therefore before the trial court. But it is sad to say it's not only weeks beyond 6 weeks, but even much more than that. And this dereliction of duty or this omission is definitely beneficial to the alleged accused people.
But why do you feel this is being done? What does the system gain by delaying the viscera or not preserving the viscera at some point? But assuming that the viscera has been preserved, what does the system gain? What does the police gain? Because that only weakens the case.
You have hit the nail on the head. Many a times it is better to prosecute or rather persecute somebody and get an acquittal. That could be the hidden agenda, which we don't see the tip of the iceberg. Only when the case goes for acquittal, we have vested motives against the alleged public prosecutor or against the trial judge or against the appellate high court judge. But ideally, on day zero, the things were set.
Can you, Doctor, elaborate a little bit on where you, in your vast professional experience, have actually preserved the viscera and wanted a quick response, where the case was totally botched up due to this delay? Because delay is not on your part. You all send it as soon as possible. But what are the hurdles that you find in sending the viscera report to a committee? See, for again, if you could just touch upon the fact that for many years Goa did not actually have a proper lab. So, and you all have to send it to probably Hyderabad or Delhi, one of the two places. So, if you could just tell us how these delays were initiated and how the delays have affected.
So, ideally speaking, we follow a unique system in Goa. We prepare the report on the same day and we submit the report along with the sealed chemical analysis of the viscera, jars, files, bile, urine, whatever the fluids that are desired, along with the clothes, materials, serological testing. We give it on the same day to the police investigation officer. Now it is between him and his authority. Now, ideally, they were preserving in Verna, where the person in officer, the then officer in charge, he is now the present deputy director, very efficient person. I give my hats off to him, and he was from his own side getting a liaison with the forensic science laboratory at Kalina, or sometimes at Calcutta, or sometimes at Hyderabad, to ensure that the report would come. But invariably, because of bureaucracy, there were delays, because to get a viscera dispatch order, they need a demand draft. And after the demand draft is sanctioned, then they need a police escort team to take the materials to the concerned destination. So that is...
This is very important, because delays can happen here, either deliberate or otherwise. To get a demand draft or to get a team. See, because as you were mentioning, and just bear me out on this, where you said that if it's not done within 15 days, you cannot get a good report, right? And I don't think in your entire experience have you ever got a report back in
Never,
15 days?
never.
So that itself speaks for a story. That such a senior forensic expert is saying that in his entire career he's never got a visa report in 15 days, where 15 days is the outer limit for a good report to come. Anyway, we'll dwell on this further. Rajan Bab, your opening views.
See, as Dr. has said, Advocate Vikram Bab, the issue of so many murders that have taken place because of drug consumption, the drug angle has never been taken forward. It has been put under carpet by projecting the murder angle. And therefore, the drugs is just thriving like nobody's business. I will tell you, when you have a government who encourages festivals that where everybody knows drugs are sold, so what are you exactly setting the message? I will tell you why I am saying this. I was fighting a case against the EDM festival, where some girl had died, and I had taken it up before the court, and I had got an expert opinion to say also what Dr. said just now, that a visceral report after a certain amount of time cannot get the real quality and the real cause of the scenario. It gets diluted. After having produced that to the court, that here there is no, because everywhere EDM festivals, the deaths that are taking place, 3-4 girls have died.
Right.
The visceral report has been sent, cause of death is not known.
Right.
Now my question is, surprisingly, after pressing that drugs are being sold there, I don't know whether you know about it, an order was passed by the judge, by the bench, to say that during the festival, 500 meters radius of that area should be sanitized for drugs. That means admitting very clearly that drugs are there, but keep it 500 meters away.
Right.
This was the order I got in the court after putting pressure that, Baba, this is happening, how can it? And you have a government who is giving license even without taking its fees.
Right.
This is another thing. I am a person who has gone when the EDM festival at 5 o'clock in the evening. I have approached the court at 3 o'clock to say fees are not paid. And by that virtue, for 2-3 festivals, about roughly 7 crores was recovered through me. Otherwise, they were just issuing licenses.
Right.
One side you are issuing licenses, one side it is known blind fact. The court itself passed an order, no, 500 meters you see. What is the meaning of it?
Right.
So, drugs is not being taken care of by any successive governments. The reasons are very obvious.
Coming to the Sonali Phogat case, we'll just dwell on that a little bit because one of the triggers for this happy meeting of ours is that particular case. Unfortunately though, but the issue we are meeting to discuss this once again because of the case. Vikram, you must have followed it out of your own professional interest in this part.
Yes.
What are the striking similarities that you find, if at all, between what happened in the Scarlet killing case and the Sonali Phogat case?
Well, the first thing here is the easy availability of drugs. What I understand in this particular case, her personal assistant was able to get drugs in the hotel they were staying in easily. Also, when they went to Curly's restaurant, they were able to get the drugs easily. That's what I think the preliminary findings of the Goa police have also been. In the Scarlet killing case also, when Scarlet arrived from Curly's restaurant, what the witnesses testified that her gait was unsteady.
Okay.
The forensics later on confirmed that she had been given a cocktail of narcotics.
Okay.
Certain
In the same spot.
In the same spot.
Right.
And certain narcotics like the MDMA tablets and all that were given to her by the accused, the convict now, right, who spiked her beer with those narcotics.
Right.
In the presence of another witness who testified in court. So the similarity is the absolute easy availability of narcotics and the fact that they can be provided to any woman, right, or man, right, to sort of render them out of their full ability to defend or protect themselves. And once that is done, they are easy victims. Plus, I think what we will see in the future, right, is the confidence that these people have in terms of being able to be acquitted on procedural grounds or delays. In another incident, for instance, in the Daniel case.
McLaughlin case.
In
Cancun.
Yes, Cancun.
Yes.
Today, it's been more than 5.5 years.
That's right.
Right. Only 10 prosecution witnesses have been
Examined.
5.5 years for 10 prosecution witnesses. witnesses. In a trial in any civilized society, we could have completed that in 6 months' time, the entire trial. And it's not that India is not a civilized society. We have seen in the case of the Delhi case, within 3 months' time, the prosecution could provide the energy
Correct.
to bring all the witnesses, all the forensic evidence, and
Yes,
come to a
the
verdict.
Nirbhaya case.
Nirbhaya case.
Yes, yes.
We could come to a verdict. So, we as a nation, we are not a third world nation. We have the capacity. We have brilliant minds. But what is missing is perhaps the intention or the resources to be provided. So that gives a tremendous amount of confidence to the accused, which was there in the Scarlet killing case, which perhaps has also transferred into this particular case.
Dr. Sapika, I will ask you the same question from your point of view as a forensics person and whatever you are seeing of this particular case. For instance, if you see the pattern of the investigation, also looking into the charges that have been framed and the way the forensics is behaving, what is the uncanny similarity and where do you think this case is going?
As on date, I do not have the page 3 of the post-mortem examination report.
Right.
Ideally speaking, the page 3 of the report, in the 7-page report, gives you the type of injuries that are there.
Right.
But whatever the press or the investigating agency has informed, it appears that they were simple, trivial injuries which were present on the person of Sonali, which could have occurred as a result of alleged accidental falls or as a result of fits during the episode of toxicity of those narcotic substances which were administered. Ideally speaking, neither individually nor collectively they could have accelerated or precipitated the cause of death.
Right.
In fact, even their absence would have resulted in death in view of the qualitative and quantitative analysis of the narcotic substance administered to her to be confirmed by the chemical analyzer hereafter.
Right. Right. So what you are saying is that if the confirmation is delayed, then the actual cause of death will never be found.
You hit the nail on the head.
Correct. Correct. So tell me now the other issue that we were discussing and I found very interesting when we were having a chat before this, where one of you all mentioned that registering the case as 302 is actually detrimental to the investigation and registering it as 304 would be better. Any of you can respond to this, but if you can start on this.
So whenever any charge of 302 is put, there are 4 tenets of law to be established. The planning, motive, intention and after effects. And all these 4 tenets have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt by the public prosecutor to the session judge who will eventually convict. But remember, there is also the defense advocate. The defense advocate will punch holes that all these 4 tenets have not been fulfilled to perfection. Like in the instant case. What is the planning? 3 of them came together. In fact, there was a live-in relationship.
Exactly.
And mind you, in a live-in relationship, it's not the police who can investigate. It was for the magistrate to conduct a magisterial inquest under 176 of the CRPC. It was not done. The police investigating agency knew that there was a live-in relationship. Still they suppressed it. Whose fault? I don't know. Second issue. This intention and the motive of killing her. Was there any material gained? Like I found that there was even a gold ring or a gold bracelet or some gold ornaments were handed over along with the body material and the clothes. There was no item from victim Sonali missing, or that could not be the motive. Intention. What would be the intention of killing your own friend by these 2 persons? And the after effects. They did not run away from the scene. They were very much present. So all these, I feel that if an offence under 304 part 2 be booked, the trial judge will have a strong say. And if at all he feels that there is evidence of all these 4 tenets being proved,
You can
at the
escalate
time
it,
of
yes.
conviction, he can increase it to 302 and then could. But ideally speaking, it should be a case under 304 2 of the IPC.
Ranjan, tell me now, you've heard both of them. I will come into an area where you understand this deeply, the political angle. Every time, somehow we see that the accused, who are people from this land, unfortunately more often than not, get a strange kind of comfort and protection from the system, whether it is the police, whether it is the local people, even witnesses don't come forward to speak against them, and then finally people in the government. If you can just narrate that this is an uncanny similarity that happens in most cases.
It is not most cases, in practically every case that comes to light. Only the manipulation may be getting little turns here and twist over there. For example, let us take this case itself. First they said it was a heart attack.
Yes.
After 2 days they are saying we saw the CCTV that fellow has spiked her drink.
Right.
Now why this came afterwards? This should have been done first.
Right.
So what is it now? Is the system aiding and abetting the criminals? Because a few pennies, where the name of Goa, the name of the entire state is coming at risk. Where are you going to take that little pennies that you have? You are not able to even enjoy it. My question is, the system, I am not talking about any particular government. I would like to go very blunt, that every successive government, of course earlier it was in a smaller quantity, today it has become in a larger quantity. Every crime keeps on getting its quantity in a different form.
Right.
Today it has reached a point, villages, you can get drugs available. In schools,
Absolutely.
outside
Right.
schools.
Yes, yes.
Right, remote villages, it is surprising and shocking. So if our entire youth is going to get embroiled and going to get addicted to drugs, what will be the future of our state? What development are we talking of?
Right.
What revenue are we talking of in the name of tourism? We have finished the Goa. I tell you, I used to go to Baga from Guinea to sleep every day in the month of April, May and come by cycle home. Can you enter Baga today? I have not seen Baga, to be honest. It's a total chaotic situation.
Correct.
And in the name of revenue, in the name of tourism, we have finished Goa. It is high time that civil society should also stand up.
Absolutely.
Civil society has also got a very important role in this. Everybody says, Mata Faido ki de. If this is going to be the attitude, why should I stand up? What do I gain? I have faced it. I know what I have gone through for the EDM festival. You know it. 6-7 times going to the High Court, where I had to face a defamation of 50 crores in Mumbai at the end of the day. Going and coming with self also this. You are also implicated in
Yes,
this.
yes.
Right? What I am trying to say is,
Yeah, well, sought to be implicated. They didn't do much because our facts were clear.
yeah. No, I am trying to say you are in the charge.
Correct.
You are there. You are
Yeah, because
supposed
we reported your press conference.
Correct. Right. That is why.
Yes.
Correct. So what I am saying is, the struggle that a common man has to make to fight this, how long will you go to fight it? This is also where civil society backs out.
Correct.
What is the security they will get? Are we sure? If I take up the issue, tomorrow my wife and daughter at home are worried whether I will reach home or not. Once it is after 7, though it can happen during the day too. Such has become the security is the. You see, our state government does not realize that they are the guardian of every citizen. It is their duty to take care of us. But are we taking care of? We are just left to the winds. Now, how will this change? And again, there will be a movement. This is a bubble. It will break. It has to somewhere blast. And there will be. But when?
So you are essentially saying, and last question before we take a break, are you saying that Goa has become a soft state?
Not only soft state. I think it's the breeding state now. Everything starts from here and goes out. And there, as you have just now pointed out, what happened in Telangana, the person is from Goa origin, taking from here and going out.
Correct.
So this has become the breeding place. This has become where the drugs are sold. You have seen so many places where foreigners are planting this drugs over here. So it has become a very, very not soft target. Absolutely no. Every drug peddler knows that he can handle the system.
Very important. Those are just the same question, in the sense that this whole feeling that everything goes in Goa. That when you come here, if you choose to take drugs or you use your trip to Goa as a tourist to party and have drugs, and also see what we have also seen, and all of you all will bear me out. Even now, if you see the number of trance festivals that are happening all over, trance parties that are happening all over, I mean, every weekend or every long weekend, you'll have so many posters coming up underground or on social media of this party happening, that party. The issue is, do they take sound licenses there? Do they take permissions there? Is there any money coming into the system out of there?
Nothing.
On what basis? Do they follow the simple guidelines of sound laws where they do it?
No.
Quick response. I mean, we'll dwell on this, but if you can just throw some light on it.
I fully concur with you. I think it's only by omission that they get the licenses, or maybe they There is an understanding between the politician and between the organizer, and that's the reason why most of these licenses are overlooked.
Right.
For that reason, I want to tell, has the government or the judiciary been proactive to appoint wardens? If there were wardens today, this type of a system would have been curbed.
What would the wardens do?
It is for the judiciary to give the judicial powers, like a superintendent of police must be escorted by the member of the warden, who will have powers of the judiciary to and report back to the judiciary about the uncouth activity which is going on within that system.
This is the task. Who will accomplish this task?
Ideally, it is for the executive to do it, and I know it that the executive will never do it. The legislature also will never do it. So it is for the judiciary, that is the High Court, to appoint suo motu certain wardens in every field.
In some zones.
In every field of Goa, in whatever it is, be it the courts or be it in the police investigating agency, whatever other soft areas or the sound music, they have to appoint wardens and ensure that justice is delivered to the public at large. Today, the senior citizen is not free.
Before I conclude, Vikram, a quick thing. Do you feel Goa has become a soft state? And having the efforts of lawyers, forensics gurus, good politicians, why has this not really helped in curtailing this?
See, there are two things I'd like to say. That when things move, they are driven, and they're driven by the benefit of people or for profits. Like Mr. Trojan said, here we are being driven by profits, which is the unfortunate direction that we are moving in. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is that when profits drive maybe narcotics and things relentlessly, right, then those profits also involve young boys and girls to be participative as dealers or suppliers or carriers and things like that. Initially it is good, they're earning good money, much more than their friends and associates who are doing regular jobs, but then it destroys those families ultimately. And I don't believe that such a large distribution can happen without the support of some bad apples in the system. So because of those bad apples in the system, we are heading towards being...
Bad apples is a civilized phrase to use.
Yes.
The correct phrase is rogues.
Rogues. And maybe one or two good apples.
Yes.
It is the other way around.
Well,
Okay.
as an advocate, I would sort of
Cautious.
be a little cautious out there. But there are a few bad apples, and they have driven us down
That's true.
to that particular level. So I don't see much of a change. When I walk with friends to the beach side, one is approached by people asking whether I would like to buy some narcotics or things like that openly out there. So the change which one wanted to see for the better has certainly not happened.
Okay, on this note, we'll take a very short break. We'll come back in 5 minutes. Thank you.